Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Faye Mac and I'm a YouTuber based in Toronto, Canada. I share videos regarding my life as a Nigerian immigrant in Canada and how to go about, the whole, immigration process, whether you're a student or not. I am not a professional immigration consultant. I know a few that I could refer if you would like, but I'm not licensed. I only share my experience and that is that, okay? So today's video is going to be about my personal immigration journey. As some of you know, I've had so many different statuses in Canada, and I'd like to share my experience with you and what the journey was actually like. So if you're interested in that kind of content, please stay tuned, keep watching, give this video a thumbs up if you like it, share with your friends, subscribe, and comment down below. Okay, let's get right into the video. So my decision to come to Canada actually formed, I think, in 2013 when I was in university. I don't know. I think it was either my second or my third year. So I looked into that. I did some research and found out that I could come as an international student for my master's. And one thing that stood out for me for Canada was that, when you come as a student, you can actually get a work permit after your study, depending on the program that you study, right? So, you could get a postgraduate work permit after your program. So that was one thing that I wanted. I wanted to have a choice. I didn't want to, go somewhere else where I wouldn't have that option, right? And I would have to, go back to Nigeria without any work experience. I wanted to have work experience and have the possibility of staying back if it was possible. So yes, that was what formed my decision to come to Canada. And, I looked into that in my, I think, third or second year in university. And I found out that I needed to have a second class upper to actually be eligible to take a master's program in Canada. So that's one thing that you find if you're trying to come here for your master's. Most of the universities would ask you for a second class upper degree. So they don't call it that, they call it like a B. So that's equivalent to basically our 3.5 over 5 GPA and above in Canada. So yes, so they ask for that. If you don't have that, some schools will still consider you if at least your last 2 years had, good grades and were actually a 2-1. So even if you were unserious in your first and second year, if your third and fourth year were pretty good and you actually had a second class upper, CGPA in that year or in those 2 years, then some schools would still consider you. If you have a very strong statement of purpose, they would actually consider you for a master's. But if you don't, then you could actually just come and study, do a postgraduate work permit and do your master's after that. So for me, I worked hard because I knew that that was one of the criteria for getting admission for my master's. So I actually worked towards getting a 2-1 and thankfully I did. And yes, so when I finished my NYSC, basically I moved to Canada, and that was in September 2015. So September 2015. Now keep in mind that I had already applied to the school that I wanted. I had applied in, I think, December 2014, and I got my admission by February 2015. Sorry, I'm just trying to remember the months and years. It may be a bit off, but it's okay. It's just to give you some perspective, right? So if you want to study here, especially for a postgraduate degree, you have to apply way ahead of time. You should give it at least maybe 9-10 months, because the admission process would actually close very early for international students. By February, they had stopped accepting students' applications. So yes, so that's one thing you need to note. Now I did that. I got my admission. Now for that, I didn't need to write the English test, the IELTS. It's not compulsory to write the IELTS. Some schools will write that it is, but once you contact them and you let them know, look, I'm from an English speaking country and my bachelor's degree was delivered in English, they would actually waive it for you. If they don't waive it based on that, you can actually, I think there's a form you can fill or a letter that, there's a waiver, an IELTS waiver that you can submit to them and they will just waive it for you. It's not compulsory for you to do an English test to come study, but it is compulsory for you to do that English test, either IELTS or CELPIP, if you want to apply for permanent residency. So if you don't do it when you're coming as a student, you still do it when you're coming for PR, but there are two different categories: the general for the immigration and the academic for school. Now, I applied for school, I got my admission, and I submitted my application. My application for my study visa took about 2 months. Yes, it was about 8 weeks in total. It was a very, very, very difficult wait because, it's really tough getting the student visa sometimes. My application was pretty simple, so I didn't even expect it to take that long because it was very simple. Fresh graduate right out of NYSC trying to go, study abroad for a master's, which is exactly in line with what she studied for a bachelor's. So I thought my application was pretty simple, but they still needed, the 8 weeks to approve me for it. Now, I landed in Canada September 2015, and that was when my program started. And, I went to school, and my program was a 2-year program. So as you may know, if you study for 2 years in Canada in an eligible program, you might be eligible for a 3-year postgraduate work permit. So I made sure that I chose a program that was 2 years. Now keep in mind that it might be 2 years officially, but you can actually accelerate the program if you want. So you could actually finish in 18 months and it will still be regarded and treated as a 2-year program because that's what it actually was. So for my program, it was 2 years. I finished in 18 months, but it was still 2 academic years, right? So 2 sessions. And yes, so that was good. I applied for my postgraduate work permit in May 2017, which is when I graduated. And I got it within just a few weeks. It didn't take too long. And yes, so that happens, you can go ahead and actually start working. Now, I was working as a student regardless, because as a student, international student specifically, you're eligible to work for 20 hours a week. That's the maximum, right? Maximum of 20 hours a week off campus. So I was taking advantage of that and I was actually working while I was a student, but I didn't need like a special application to do that. It just comes with your study permit, right? And so when I applied for my work permit, I was able to work full time and actually just, start making money. Okay, so at this point, I was quite confused about what route to take because with the Express Entry program, there's so many different programs within it. So there are different streams. So there's the Federal Skilled Worker Program, which is, the popular one that, people take advantage of to come to Canada, right? So you apply through the Federal Skilled Worker Program from Nigeria or from any country, and you can get approved and move here as a PR. You can also apply for it when you're within Canada. And on the other hand, there was also the Canadian Experience class, which basically required you to get, to have 1 year work experience in a skilled position within Canada. And the Federal Skilled Worker Program also required at least 1 year work experience, but not within Canada. It also had to be a skilled job, right? So I had those two options and, I just felt like I should work for 1 year in a skilled role before actually applying for my permanent residency. But eventually, I got advice and my siblings had moved here, so I was able to claim sibling points as well. So I just felt like, what, let me apply now. And, my 1 year NYSC work experience was utilized there. So keep in mind, you can use your NYSC as your 1 year work experience. Even if that's the only thing you have, as long as you end up having enough points, it will work for you. So the NYSC experience, I worked, in Nigeria before moving to Canada. was what I used to actually apply for my permanent residency. Now I have the dates here. Sorry, I'm just looking at my phone to get the dates. So I applied for my permanent residency on May 4th, 2018. I got my invitation to apply, which is the ITA. I'll try as much as possible to break this down. So the invitation to apply is basically just after you go into the express entry pool and you filled out all your details, you have to wait for Canada to actually send you an invitation to apply. So that means you must have met certain criteria, and maybe you have enough points for Canada to actually pull you out of the pool to apply for permanent residency. So I got invited to apply on May 4th, 2018. And basically that just gives you time to put all your application together, all your documentation together. So basically what you need, just with the study permit, you need a police clearance certificate. So I had to get that. So I needed a police clearance certificate from Nigeria as well as from Canada. I had to take the IELTS, which was a pretty simple exam. I'm not sure why people are scared of the IELTS. It's not difficult as long as you can speak good English and understand good English and you have good time management skills. I feel like you will pass the IELTS and you pass very well. Just prepare and you'll be fine. There's no need to hear IELTS and just give up. Because I hear that a lot when people ask, oh, do I have to write IELTS? And you say yes, and they're just like, it's too much stress. It's really not a big deal. You can do it. It's just an exam, right? So I had to do the police clearance certificate, take IELTS. I already did a course-by-course evaluation of my degree from Nigeria, and because I had a Canadian degree, I didn't have to, do the West again. I don't think I needed to show proof of funds, but I did anyway, just to be on the safe side. If you guys want me to do like a breakdown of applications for each of these things, so the student visa, the work visa, and then the permanent residency application, just let me know. I'll do a detailed video about what you need, how much you need, and all of that. But this is just an overview of my entire journey. I don't want this video to be too long, so I'm not going to go into any extreme details. So yes, I needed all of that, and then I applied for my permanent residency within the same month. I already prepared all my documentation ahead of time. I did my medicals and all of that and submitted my application. And then on June 5th, 2018, my application got approved. So my application got approved a month after I received my invitation to apply. So at the end of the day, it kind of took, 4 weeks for the entire process from ITA to PPR, which is passport request. And that just basically tells you that your application is approved. So that was my journey. It was quite a long journey, right? Going from student visa to work visa to permanent residency. I know it sounds like a lot, but it's really not that bad. It was pretty good. It was smooth. All the applications went very smoothly, as you can see, with the timelines and the dates. They went pretty fast. If you're an international student here or you're in a work permit, just know that it's an easy process. If you're in Nigeria or you're watching me from any country, just know that IELTS is not that, it's not a big bad wolf. Like, it's not a bad exam. So just go ahead. If you're really interested in moving to Canada, these are some of the things that you need to do. Some people come as PRs. I would love to have done that. I wish I had, but I didn't do that because as at the time that I actually came to Canada, Express Entry was still pretty new. I moved to Canada in the same year that Express Entry came around, and that was basically just Canada saying, the federal skilled worker program that took like an average of 2 years to process now became faster, so an average of 6 months and under to process. I have some stories about some 20-month applications. But if you have, if you want to know more about that, you can just leave a comment down below and I can do a separate video on that experience. Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Leave a comment in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear from you, and also hit the subscribe button. Please subscribe, it's free, okay? Please subscribe to my channel and I can give you more content like this. Also click the bell beside the subscribe button. It just notifies you whenever I make a new video or I post a new video. So yes, thank you for watching and I'll see you in my next video.